Hey, all right, y'all. What's happening? We're uploading new content here on the site, so please tell people, subscribe, hit the ring bell, or like it, or whatever people do. Don't like it. Leave some horrible comments because a lot of you are not going to like the content I'm putting up right now. I'm live from Lemmy House. You can see why we call it that. Commenting on the Alex Jones trial. All right, I'm watching that right now. It's not really a trial because he was already found guilty in harassing the Sandy Hook people. Look, I'm wearing my fear porn coat right now. It's hand done. I'll sell it right now for $500. Anyway, buy my videos. But as some of you know, I worked with Alex Jones for a number of years. I hosted the Alex Jones show more times than I can count. I contributed to the website. I was on GCN. My show aired, syndicated after his show. Though we never, unlike him, we never bought time anywhere. It's just one of those things, and I could see why people still like him because what he did back in the 2000s was pretty cool, and that's why I was part of it. Once I saw that it was only about, getting hits on the website, and they would say absolutely anything to do that no matter who got hurt, I started getting really disenfranchised with all that. I didn't want to be a part of that. I came into this because I believe in truth. I gave up a pretty good radio career to do it. Moved from Providence to Austin, Texas, and just tried to do something in the way of truth to help the world. And this has probably happened to a lot of you. You go work for a company, they look okay, and then you get inside and look behind the curtain, and it's bad, man. It's super bad. So, if you didn't know this already, I was deposed in this trial with the Sandy Hook victims versus Alex Jones. And, and I really had to think long and hard to do that, and I did do it because I know Lenny Posner, and I know some of those guys, and I never saw, and I know some of you out there are believers in the hoaxes. Like, I was listening to the police scanner that night. I think there's something that went on there that we should know about, and one of the best things to do in that situation is to create, and in fact, they had someone in the Obama administration, Cass Sunstein, who said, we're going to go in and attack conspiracy theorists and make them look all crazy with flat earth stuff and hoax stuff, and I knew that was happening. And I knew there was something in there with that Sandy Hook attack that was more like a hit team and less like a hoax. But put all that aside, because I never did get to come out, and that's kind of why that all went down. But I was deposed in the trial. The lawyer for the Sandy Hook families deposed me. Super nice guy. His name is Mark, is it Bankston? Okay, anyway, he's right now representing the families in the penalty version of this trial. And I'll tell you something about him. And we talked for a long time. Like, I talked with reporters from New York Times and off the record, right? CNN, like a lot of people off the record. And I was trying to tell them where the bodies are really buried. They just kept focusing on advertising. And it's so hypocritical because who are the New York Times advertisers? What will they do to make their advertisers happy? And I even would tell them that. And I was real hesitant to go on the record, but I did go on the record and was deposed in this trial. And, I think the main reason was, and again, not to beat this dead horse, but no bad pun, but, if my kid is killed in a school shooting, doesn't matter how it happens, I'm pretty pissed and distraught and damaged. I know Lenny Posner and his wife, they got divorced over this. I mean, the wreckage is just massive. And then to have lunatics harassing you and stalking you and threatening you, that really got to me, and that's why I did that. I just think you eventually, at some point, I believe in karma, and at some point, you got to pay for what you've done. And though I don't want to see all the good people that have fallen into the whole Infowars paradigm, and it is a paradigm. It's not going to help you. It's not going to change your life. It's not going to make any difference. It's a paradigm, and they're making money off of you. I don't want to see those people robbed. I don't want to see their donations go to paying for Alex Jones's mistakes. Keep in mind, for you hoaxers out there, he went and admitted, hey, I don't believe it. I never believed it. And basically, I just say shit. And I just wanted to get hits on my website. That's the whole thing that tore me out of that. Okay? I don't do that. I've been there. My website was one of the biggest in the world at one point. I was hooked at Drudge Report and everything else. And, you start watching those numbers, and depending on, what's happening and how are you going to keep those numbers going, and those numbers drive your advertising, and it's a vicious circle for sure. And sometimes I look back and I go, well, if I'd have just shut up and be happy, something I say all the time on these broadcasts, if I just kept my mouth shut, I'd be Owen Troyer making $120,000 a year right now. He's testifying in the penalty phase and doesn't know anything, doesn't remember anything. And okay, I get it. He's been coached by the Alex Jones lawyers. I get it, man. So I'm really torn on this one. It's I'd like to see people be responsible. I'd like to see someone, one of the things that Owen Troyer said, who's still a host and still got a confidential agreement, to not say anything under penalty of law, who's making $120,000 a year. I'd like to make that money. Yeah, I would. You have to look at me and go, here's someone who turned down, because I would have been that guy, turned down six-figure salaries to stand up for people and to stand up for truth, right? And that's kind of bitten me in the ass a lot of times in my life, and I just, sometimes I regret it, sometimes I look back, because I know how people look at this. Nothing succeeds like success, all right? So that's what they say. So if I'm making 120 grand a year or whatever before taxes, and then, spinning off and making more money and doing well in my life, you're going to go, well, whatever Jack Blood says must be good, because look at all the money he's making. That's just not true. That's why you're here. That's just not true. But I know where the bodies are buried, and when I was interviewed by, I'm going to give you these names in another video, but I'm not going to do it today. When I was interviewed by a bunch of people, I was telling them, okay, I see what you're doing. You want to bring down Alex Jones? Okay, don't deplatform him. Don't, worry about his snake oil advertisers or whatever. I'm going to tell you, how he sold out his own audience. How he doesn't care about them. How he mocks them. Okay? I've hung out with Alex Jones for hundreds of hours. He used to call me every night. He mocked his viewers. He has no respect for you. And I'm not sure why. I get it, half the stuff they do, is that fair? I mean, it's probably more like about a third. But half the stuff they do is information. It's quality information you can get. But what I learned is, and I haven't watched any of this kind of crap for over a decade, you still get that information, right? And we were all out there, pushing this very hard. And I'm proud to say that now you can see the same stuff we used to do back in the day that was underground, on mainstream media now. So I think we put in our time for all of that. Once this trial's over, I'm going to get some of the Sandy Hook people on, and we're going to talk about all this. But, you need to quit enabling these kind of people because they don't care about you. That's my message on this video today. They don't care about you. The Alex Joneses of the world, the Matt Drudges of the world, and even I've met Tucker Carlson before, and they don't really care about you. You know, you have people in your life that do care about you, and I hope you're paying attention to them. You know, so where do you go get your information? I mean, you're good at it. You're on this channel. You're good at getting information, and you know what the truth is. And that's the war, and it is an information war. It's not a, it's not a mistake that they called it Infowars. I mean, we're in an information war, and we've got to be fighting. Look, the one thing, I mean, I was willing to put aside a lot of the bullshit that happened with Infowars and some of the people in that circle. But when they firebombed our own Ron Paul-esque governor, Deborah Medina, because they didn't agree with something she said, she got tricked in an interview with Glenn Beck, and it has to do with Dan Patrick, lieutenant governor right now of Texas. He'll be your governor at some point. You see the fallout from all of this? I mean, I could just go on with that. Like, how much money did Texans pay for Rick Perry to go out and campaign for president? You know, how much did we all pay for him to be energy secretary under Trump? You know, I mean, this just went on. And we used to go bullhorn this guy. We used to, he's a Bilderberger. I watched him get just demolished by our candidate, Deborah Medina. And, hey, it's true. I'm going to admit to you right now, if she would have been governor, and she almost was, if it hadn't been for Alex Jones and some of the people in that circle, I'd have been the press secretary for the governor of Texas, and I would have liked to have done that. I would have liked to and believed in the work that we were going to do there. In a state that's so big, it's like its own country. GDP-wise, it's one of the biggest, countries in the world, if you want to put it like that. And I thought that we could start a revolution that way, and that could catch on, right? Liberties over permissions, these kinds of things. Right? Grow your own food, the things that were important to me. So when I watch, and I just wanted to do this real quick because people are watching the trial, and I wanted people to come over and kind of get my take, me and Lemmy. Lemmy was a fan of mine back in the 90s, of my station and my show. So I didn't need to get into all of this. I was definitely popular long before I met Alex Jones. And I, again, know where the bodies are buried. You want to go after this guy? You want to have him get his comeuppance? You want to, have justice? Find out about all the people he sold out, like the Gray family, right? Go look that up. Because when he first got started, he went and covered this as a so-called journalist and went in with his cameras, convinced the Gray family, who were in a standoff with police, to let him in, and then sold all the footage to 2020, the TV show, and gave it all to the cops so that they knew how to go in and take that family out in that standoff. He sold out the very people he says he's there to protect. And same thing with Ed and Elaine Brown. As soon as that got hot, he ran away. Right? And I asked him that. I mean, I got to, really seriously spend a lot of time with the guy, and I'm like, why'd you do that, man? You promoted everyone to go over there and put their lives on the line for the Browns, and as soon as it got hot, you just jumped out of there. He's like, we're journalists. We're not, we're just covering the news. We're not activists. Well, no, because most of the time you are an activist. So whatever shoe fits and whatever's going to benefit you the most, that's what you do. And I'm just sad that it's come to this. I mean, this is a guy that supported Trump the entire time, and you could go watch the videos of how he hates Trump. I mean, nothing about him is real. That is a complete illusion. I mean, we live this life. We're on the streets. We live this life. I remember, back in the days of Austin, Texas, and we'd have a lot of events, man. We had a lot of good stuff going on there, direct actions, and we were making moves, and important moves, and beating things like we beat the checkpoints, we beat the toll roads. I mean, there's a lot of things, and these are long stories, but there's a lot of things we won. We won things on guns. I mean, we just won a lot of issues over there. But I only noticed that he would show up when he was promoting himself, and I'm like, but I was nice about it. I'm like, well, why didn't you go to this, or why didn't you go to that? And you know what he said to me? Familiarity breeds contempt. And when people say Alex Jones is right, that's one of the things he was right about. Don't go to everything. Don't put yourself out there too much, Jack, is his advice to me. Don't be everywhere. Don't be friends with your fans. Don't, because I don't consider myself having fans. You're my friends. You're my family. And he wouldn't go do things because he knew if he was out in the public eye too much and people got to know him a little bit, it would cost him. It would be, he would lose some support, I never thought about it that way. Even at the height of my popularity, I was out on the street passing out 9/11 literature and whatnot, and it didn't matter to me, because I believed in the cause. That's why. So, I don't know, man. I'll do more reporting on this trial. I've just been watching it a little bit, and again, the trial's over. It's the penalty phase, and I hate to say it, but I'd just like to see $100 million judgment on this, I mean, it's karma. The money you made are ill-gotten gains. And is it a priority? No. I mean, the laptop from hell and Hunter and Joe Biden, and there's worse things. And if you're a Trump hater, I'm sure you can find some stuff on him. Not too hard. All the people he's ripped off and lied to. I'm sure that's why that was symbiosis. But, we got to quit falling for this. These and people called him controlled opposition. I stood up for him. People called me controlled opposition. It's obvious I'm not. I'll cover more of the trial, but those are my initial takes from it. And just, before you start judging me on this video, think of what would happen if your child was murdered. You'd want the truth, right? You wouldn't want circumstantial evidence to damn you. And you wouldn't want people threatening your life and hanging around your house and stalking you. You wouldn't want that. That would be worse than almost losing your own child. That is insult to injury. And I think that has to all be considered. The judge in this case, by the way, is a Fruit Loop. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But that's my report right now. It's the best I can do. Beware of fear porn, all right? Just be cool with it and beware of it, and someday I'll shave my beard off. Keep checking out our channel and hook up with us, jackblood@hotmail.com. If you have any comments or if you want to donate to us, that would be cool too. Thanks. We got to live. We got to live. We got to eat. Keep doing this shit. Thanks.